Elicit and use evidence of student thinking, the math mob. Let's start off by breaking down what this means. Elicit means to draw out a response or answer from someone, also referred to as active learning. Evidence is information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. Elicit and use evidence of student thinking is a teaching method that is used by educators to promote thinking by showing evidence to their students and allowing them to come up with their own conclusions or ideas. Eliciting students allows them to be creative in their thinking and become more confident in their work. This helps engage them in instruction along with the use of evidence. This is when we can show students information proving the lesson being taught is correct. For example, if we have 2 cans of food and add 2 more, we now have 4 cans. The students are able to see this. It is tangible, and there is no arguing that there are now 4 cans once we added 2. They then understand that the addition is a true formula to come up with solutions. It is important, though, for students to come up with ideas or conclusions on their own. On this slide is an Illicit model. This model is a step-by-step plan on how to go about teaching students certain topics to get their own views on things. Attending to the student leads to eliciting. Elicit then leads to interpreting. Or attending can also lead to interpreting based on what the student thinks of first. Deciding is next, and then nudging begins, which helps students come up with their own personal beliefs, and this will later on help them in the future. What is the teacher's role and how do we implement this type of teaching? The following 5 instructional routines help teachers to elicit formative evidence of learning during instruction, or in more simple terms, help students get engaged in the lessons and become vested in what they are learning. To activate prior knowledge, we have to know what the students have already learned. While doing this, we want to confirm what students know and also correct any misconceptions they can have or that they may have. That way they have confidence in what they already know and can feel comfortable when learning new methods in the future. We can find out what students know and allow them to come up with new ideas through academic dialogue. As teachers, we need to foster an environment that promotes safe expression of ideas, opportunities to explore multiple viewpoints, and allows all students to participate. It is also a good idea to have group discussions in small or larger groups. We should sometimes give students the power to lead the conversations in groups as well. Dialogue and questions seem to go hand in hand. Throughout conversations with students, use assessment questioning. Ask them questions like, how would that relate to the last unit we studied on fractions? Or what would it look like if? Ask questions that allow students to be challenged and use the knowledge they already have. We should also have pre-planned questions that we include in our lessons. This is to gauge understanding and to encourage forward thinking. Teachers are able to elicit evidence through observation and analysis of student work. Well, how do we observe students' thoughts? There are actually several ways a student's thinking can be observed, including things like drawings, diagrams, model building, writing, lesson notes, and other activities. There may be times when a student isn't able to articulate their thinking as well as they could show it. Observation helps provide teachers with a full understanding of the student's knowledge. Teachers aren't the only people in the classroom, though, that can elicit ideas from students. They can do this through peer and self-assessment. We can provide a classroom where students are able to build off of each other and also review each other's work. When they do this and they're able to make notes for their peers, it's another glimpse into that student's understanding. So what is the student's role in all of this? And the student's role is actually very important because it will help them in future learning, not just with math, but other subjects as well. Students need to be open-minded and engage in their lessons. The teacher isn't the only one who should be asking questions, but students should ask any questions they may have. This will not only increase their knowledge, but they may ask a question that another student has or provoke thoughts in other students. Students will need to actively communicate with each other when working in groups, and this will help them build off of each other and come up with creative solutions or problems to equations that they're trying to solve. While they're trying to learn a new method, they will make mistakes, and that's okay. It's important for students to make mistakes as long as they learn from them. When a student feels comfortable with them making mistakes, they'd be willing to try different methods to find a solution. According to an article from the University of Michigan titled Eliciting, Interpreting, and Nudging, Student Thinking, it explains how nudging is a good strategy to get the students' minds thinking. This can be initiated by teachers or through their peers. It guides students to specific thinking through open-ended questions and allows them to come up with a solution on their own. Nudging can be done through conceptual understanding, reminding students of the purpose of the task. If a student is redirected to the purpose, it sometimes provides clarity and leads them back to focus. Once they understand the meaning of the task, they can look at the issue at hand. From there, they can develop a strategy and create ideas on how to solve the problem. They can communicate with each other and come up with solutions through communication. Why is this important when teaching? As elementary age teachers, we need to help students build a foundation for success. If we teach students to observe evidence and use it to come up with solutions, this will not help them in math, but again, with all subjects. It teaches them to form opinions based on fact, to communicate, share ideas, to try methods without being afraid of failure, and to think outside the box. It also helps them tie their current knowledge to what's being taught. It also encourages them to build off of previous lessons and helps them gain confidence.